Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for listening. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I make videos on self-improvement, on topics that get people triggered, that people don't like to talk about. If you were to talk about these topics that I go over in my channel to your average person, they'd probably have a knee-jerk reaction of getting angry and calling you a conspiracy theorist, getting triggered. I just talk about interesting topics in general that pique my interest. Today I'm just going to be talking about the best piece of advice I've ever heard, or one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll go over some other good advice that I've heard throughout my years. So I'll just get right to it. So the best piece, or one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard, is to stop thinking and take action. It sounds simple, right? But how many of us actually do this? If you tend to be a very analytical person, if you tend to be a very, neurotic person, if you tend to overthink things, you probably can relate to this. Getting stuck in your head and going over what you're going to do or what you want to do, ideas that you may have, dreams that you may have, just going over them in your head and, over analyzing everything and not end up taking any action. So I think this problem stems from, number one, just plain over analyzing, right? We want everything to be perfect. We want the plan to be perfect. We want everything to be laid out in front of us and just ready to be picked up and executed. But that's not how things work. It's good to plan out what you want to do to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, you got to take action. The finer details I've found in my life are usually worked out along the way. Just having a clear idea of what I want to accomplish, making a plan, not overthinking it, and just taking action is the best piece of advice one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard. So don't be paralyzed by fear or overanalyze what you're trying to do. A lot of the times, things are much simpler than we make them. Or they're a lot simpler than, we tend to overcomplicate things. But in reality, they're a lot simpler than what we think. So getting into the habit of taking more action than overthinking everything, waiting for the perfect time to do something. There never is going to be a perfect time. The perfect time to do something is now, because you don't know when you're going to die. Nobody knows when they're going to die. The present moment is all we have. And I know it sounds cliche as heck, but it's true. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know, when the timer might run out, so to speak. And this is not to scare you. This is a fact of life. Nobody knows when their last breath is going to be. So the perfect time to do the thing that you've been putting off, the perfect time to start taking action towards changing your life is not tomorrow, procrastinating and say, I'll just do it tomorrow. No. Nobody's promised tomorrow. So the perfect time to do whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whatever it is that you're putting off is now. So, like I said earlier, just make a plan of what you're trying to achieve. Have a clear vision of what it is that you want to achieve. Make a plan, of course, think it out. Take the time to really plan things out and say, okay, this is what I want to achieve and this is how I'm going to get there. These are the points that I have to get in order, and this is the first thing that I need to break down in order to, make this dream a reality. Break down your goal into small, manageable steps. And, take your time to make a good solid plan for your goal. And then after that, if you can have it revised by, close friends or family or somebody that you trust, get an input on it, that'd be great. But after that is just taking action, and that's it. That's literally it. You just keep going and working at it. You be disciplined about your goal. You have the faith that it's going to work out. And you just keep doing the thing, sticking to your plan, course correcting if need be. until you achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve, and that's it. A good quote that I think a lot about when I'm, scared to take action, or I'm scared to do something, or I'm not sure if I should be taking action, or, when I'm paralyzed by fear or whatever it may be, a good quote that I always think back on is, no matter what happens, I will handle it. And this is a very calming quote, because it's true. Like I said earlier, a lot of the time we make things a lot bigger than they are in our heads. And when it comes down to it, things aren't as bad as we make them seem. At the end of the day, if you fail, you learn from it, you take the lesson, and you improve. And one thing that I do want to mention is, don't expect immediate results. We live in this culture, we live in this society that, everything is instant, right? Instant food to your house, instant groceries to your house. You don't have to leave your house for nothing. You have the internet. We expect everything to be quick and easy. And this is really, really just counterintuitive and really toxic, to be honest, because anything worth having, hard work and discipline and time is required for most things, right? That are worth anything. Don't expect immediate results. Fall in love with the process and focus on that. It's a process. Like I said earlier, have faith in what you're doing and work hard, and you'll get there. So that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content. And so other good pieces of advice that I've heard throughout my years are, you shouldn't be scared to try something. Of course, within bounds. I'm not saying if you're scared of sharks, jump into the water and swim with sharks with no protection. I'm not saying stuff like that, within the bounds. If you're scared to try something, there is no point in being scared. At the end of the day, if you try something and it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean you're stuck. You can always learn from the lesson and readjust your plan and try again next time. You can always move around. You're only stuck if you believe you're stuck. So that's another good piece of advice that I've heard. Don't be scared to try something or fail at something. Just go for it. If it doesn't work out, you learn something from it. It's not a failure. And, it doesn't mean you're stuck. You can always try again and execute a different game plan or improve your game plan. Again, it's not a failure. The failure is to not try at all. And I know that's cliche, but it's very true. And lastly, it might sound simple, but getting your basics handled is another good piece of advice that I've heard. Get your basics handled, right? Something that's so simple and common that is very much overlooked by a lot of us because of how common it is. How many people do you know that are hooked on vices, right? Negative vices that don't do anything positive for their lives. Drinking, partying, smoking, whatever it may be. How many people do you know who have a solid diet handled? And, there's nothing wrong with having a cheat day now and then, but how many people do you know that, have this area down for the most part? Exercising, right? And getting adequate sleep. Again, sounds so simple and common, but it's very, very hard, to improve these areas of your life if you're, not in the right mindset. It all begins with your mindset of wanting to be better and improve. So the basics, getting your basics handled, and you'll see how much this changes your life. Go a week without any junk food. Start exercising for a week and eat clean. Get adequate sleep for a week and see how different you feel. This is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you. This is literally life-changing. So get your basics handled. Don't procrastinate it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope some of this information was useful to someone out there. Have a great day.